Alright, I want to talk about this mini rig that I have here on the table, which is basically just a GT1 and an external foot switch, the Boss FS7, mounted in a very small pedal board. So initially I actually wanted to make a pedal board that's minimalistic style, like maybe 3 or 4 pedals, a very simple rig that had the minimum amount of effects that I need, like maybe a compressor or an overdrive and a delay. But since I have the GT1, I just decided to place that on this pedal board. And the GT1 is already small, and it already has everything that I need, like amp simulation, distortion, clean sounds, a compressor, chorus, modulation, all the modulation that you can think of, an expression pedal, a tuner, and a looper. So I just decided to, I might as well use the GT1 for the mini rig. So why would you need a mini rig? Well, the main reason why I got the GT1 in the first place is that there was a gig like a few years ago. We were traveling, and I didn't want to carry the GT8 because it was too big. So I bought the GT1 in the first place for that purpose, for traveling, so that I could just put it in the backpack, and it has everything that I need, and it's lightweight, very small. So for the very same reason, mini rigs, in case you ever feel like you don't want to carry a big pedal board. Like last year, we had a gig with the Stallions, and I was using 2 guitars, and I didn't want to carry another big bag for a pedal board, so I just inserted this rig in my guitar bag, so it works well that way. So it's good to have an option in case you ever feel like you don't want to carry a heavy pedal board. At least you have an option to carry a small rig. So let's take a look at this. Basically, it's just a GT1 with an external foot switch. And the external foot switch, it's connected. There's a control 2 and 3 slot here for connecting an external foot switch or an expression pedal. But you don't need an expression pedal because there's already an expression pedal built in. And you need I'm not sure if you can see this, but it needs to be a TRS cable. So the one with 2 rings. Otherwise, it won't work. Like only one foot switch will work. But if you have a TRS cable connected in the B slot here, it will allow you to use the 2 foot switches for the FS7. And it doesn't need power, but if you connect the power supply in the FS7, it will light up like this. And I think that's important because when you're playing on stage, you know, it's dark and like lights are turning on and off. It's good to have a visual of what is on, what effects is on. So yeah, it's good to have a power supply for the FS7. So yeah, let's start with the I'm just gonna show you how I use the mini rig, you know, to give you some ideas to anyone who's using a GT1, and how to like incorporate an external foot switch with the GT1. So let's start with the expression pedal. So basically, by default, it functions as a volume pedal. And if you press it hard enough, I'm sure, okay, here we go. It functions as a wah. So let me just, okay. So volume and wah for the expression pedal. And you can assign a different effect, like a pedal bend, or maybe turn on, off a parameter like a delay. So, but I use it for volume and wah only. I'm a very simple guy. So the GT1 has 3 built-in foot switches, and with the additional 2 foot switches of the FS7, I have 5 foot switches to switch on and off different effects, and that's enough for me to like play in a gig. So basically I use this as a manual mode, meaning I've assigned each foot switch to turn on and off different effects. So by default, these 2 foot switches here, the down and the up, function as a memory increase or decrease to switch different patches up and down. But you can change it to anything that you want, so we'll get to that soon. Let's start with the control pedal here, the control 1. So basically this is control 1, and the external foot switches is control 2 and control 3. And I'm using only 1 patch, and for each patch you can assign up to 6 different functions to any of these foot switches. So let's take a look at control number 1. So by default, this patch, I'm only using 1 patch for this main setup. By default, it is a distortion sound. There's only 2 effects that are currently on. It's a preamp simulation, and I have, not sure if you can see that. It's an extreme lead setting, and the reverb is always on as well. There's a room reverb. I don't know, it's just like a default sounding reverb. I just turn it on. So this is the sound of the extreme lead amp simulation. So for the control 1, I actually have 4 assigns that I used for this foot switch. The first one is to switch the compressor on, and the second one is the chorus on. The third one is to switch the preamp from the extreme lead, which is the distortion sound, to a GT120 amp simulation, which is a clean sound. And the fourth one is to switch the gain level from a full 120 value to midway 60. So that because the GT1 is kind of small, they kind of removed a lot of functions or features. Normally with the full-size GT units like GT8, GT10, they usually have 2 channels, channel A and B, for the preamp effect. And you can easily switch from channel A distortion sound, channel B clean sound. But since the GT1 only has 1 channel, if you switch a distortion to a clean sound without switching the gain from a full to low gain setting, you'll have a cranked up GT120 clean sound. So you need to switch the gain level from full to midway, and it will allow me to have a clean sound from a distortion sound. With 1 press of this foot switch, it will give me a clean sound, good for plucking chords. So 4 switches that happened with 1 press of this foot switch, and back to distortion. Right, so that's the control 1. So 6 assigns in 1 patch. I've already used 4. So the up foot switch is just a delay. So I just turn the delay on if I want delay. The down foot switch, if you notice, when I pressed the control 1, it lit up to red, because that's actually the chorus. I assigned the chorus for this foot switch so that if I'm playing distortion, I can have a chorus or distortion with chorus. So that's the down foot switch. So we're into the external foot switches now. The A is just to engage the solo boost. So if you're familiar with the GT series, usually the preamp effect has a solo boost, wherein they kind of designed to make it simple for us to like just turn on the knob how much solo boost you want and just turn the solo function on. It's designed to like when you're playing solos so that you can be heard. It's basically just a volume boost. So if I want to play solo, I press that with delay. So I just press that foot switch. So very good to have this set up. I can just turn on and off different effects whenever I want them to. B is an EQ. So I kind of have two different boosts. So that's B, and if you notice, it lit up again, the down foot switch. It's because I used another assign there because there's only two effects blocks in the GT1, FX1 and FX2. I've already used FX1 for the compressor, FX2 for the chorus. B is just turning on FX2 again, but using another assign to switch the FX2 from a chorus to an EQ. So there's two switches or two assigns programmed into foot switch B. So basically that's it. I can actually assign this to a different effect, like maybe a pedal bend, but I need two boosts in case I need it. I just want two boosts available for me when I'm playing a gig. So yeah, that's how I use the GT1 mini rig.